What was it like working with Bernie Mac, bro?
Now, Bernie, I mean, that was like the day they hit us, because like Bernie wasn't confirmed just yet. You know, we had Terrence, and it's like when you're getting, you know, A-list stars like that, they schedule be crazy. So you gotta, you know, they're juggling around trying to figure out who they can get. So news came back, they like, yo, so the comedian they got for the film, Bernie Mac, we was like, oh, yeah. So we was tripping, yo. So of course, now my star nervousness, if you will, went to a whole nother level. And you know, you don't get shook. Like for me, I don't get shook by stars. It's more of like when you're on the playing field with them, you want to make sure you shine just as much, you know, so you don't let them down. So because they, you know, they're where they're at. You don't need to be looking like a weak link, if you will. So you like, oh nigga, I gotta make sure I bring it, right?
And you want Bernie to be able to say like, hey, you funny, you know?
Exactly. That's it. So Bernie got to the set, nigga, I'm nervous. Cause it's like normally like my energy, you know how my energy is. It's like it kind of it just kind of eludes, it spreads out, and then people like, yo, and they kind of feel that energy. So a lot of times it gets other people in that joyful mood to like, you know, play around as well, right? So I already knew I had that on set already. But now Bernie getting there, I literally like kind of closed up, like, I was like, nigga, this is Bernie. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't, right? So Bernie got there, you know, he just looking, serious. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, yo. So we rehearsed this one scene. This is one scene where my character is talking to the girl in the film, right? And I'm like flirting with her. And so I walk up to her and I say something about Willie. I'm like, yo, whatever. And she look at me like, no, you know? And so I kept doing it, but it was real timid. Like it wasn't like, I wasn't like committed to it. I was doing it more like, okay, I know Bernie.
That's half the key is the commitment.
It's the commitment. So Bernie, you know, comedian could see that. So he saw like he being timid. So Bernie pulled me to the side, right? He goes, hey, listen, young buck. I was like, what up? He goes, look, you here on this set, right? You here for a reason. Show them why you here. Mm. And I was like, okay.
Straight up.
I'm like, dang, okay. So then go in the scene and I hit it. Boom. Director was like, I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. This is so amazing. Terrence was like, that was really good, Alphonso. That was good, man. That was good. And Bernie, you know, Bernie was like, that's what I'm talking about, you know. So then all of a sudden, like a couple of days later, I'm on the set, and I used to do this thing where like I would do like this muscle man, because I'm super skinny, but I would do like this muscle man flex thing, right? Like just on set to like myself, I'll be doing it, right? So I'm in the corner doing that. And I think like one of the grips or somebody who's over there, and they just laughing because they're like, yo, I didn't realize Bernie was way in the other side of the set watching me. Mm. He just watching me. He was like, man, this boy is funny. He told his assistant, his daughter, he is funny, right? So all of a sudden, they came up to me and he was like, yo, Bernie, yo, he been peeping you. And I looked over and he was just like, so then during lunch, I started talking to him. Bernie said, look, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, you are funny as hell. And I'm like, nigga, so that was like the blessing of like, that was it. Cause I just knew, he was like, yo, and he said, you funny without trying to be, like, you just funny. And that's all I need to hear. I was just like, yo, like, that's what's up. So like just being around him, soaking all that in. I mean, of course, I asked him about life. I was like, yo, how'd you come up with Jing-A-Ling?
Right.
You know, he was like, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't have. He was like, I didn't even have a name for the character like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it was a different name, but he kept playing with the suspenders, and they kept going Jing-A-Ling, Jing-A-Ling. It was like Jing-A-Ling, 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 Jing-A-Ling. Yeah, make a lot of noise right there. Oh my nigga, because Jing-A-Ling, he stole every scene that he was in with Jing-A-Ling in life. He stole.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
But it was like stuff like that. Like I would just ask him like little, just things here and there. He would tell me about comedy. He was telling me about like I remember he told me that he said there's a lot of cats that want the ideal of stand-up comedy, but they don't want the stand-up comedy. They don't want people to look at them and laugh. They want to look cool. They want to be cool. He said all these comedians who try to look cool and be cool. He was like, that's not what stand-up is. Stand-up has got to be, just raw. You don't mind getting, having people laughing at just what you're doing or whatever. Not to the point where they're like, oh, he ain't nothing, he's a clown or whatever. But it's to the point where they're like, yo, like this nigga's funny. He don't care how people see him as far as like not trying to be cool or whatever. He was like, you have to be a trailblazer. You just got to go and do. You can't worry about what other folks is thinking like, oh, he don't look cool enough to be, you know what I'm saying? Because you know how some comedians are, they too cool. They want to look cool, be cool,
we know. I ain't gonna say his name, but it's one comedian. He the coolest. He's the coolest, and it's like, but it's so weird because off stage you try to be super cool, and then you get on stage, and then he start, and then you like, well, who are you? You know, the best thing I heard Keenan Ivory Wayne say, he said, there's no vanity in comedy.
Yes.
So you can't be worrying about, do I look stupid? Be funny. Don't be worrying about all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest thing I personally learned from Bernie Mac, looking from afar, was I seen this documentary. And basically before he got on, the casting directors was like, oh, we can't understand what he's saying. He needs to enunciate more. Can he do that? Can he be a little less hood, basically? And then it got to a point he got on, and then the casting people were like, can you be more like Bernie Mac? Can you talk the way Bernie talk?
Wow.
And what I learned from that is, man, you just got to do you. You can't try to do other stuff to try to conform, because they don't fucking know what they're talking about,
No.
So it's better. That's what I learned from watching Bernie Mac, is like, yo, do you, and do you at the highest level, and everybody will eventually come on board of what you're doing.
Yeah. And another thing, because he was always dropping the gems, yo. He was like, another thing, he was like, look, I stay out of it. If it ain't got my name on it, I stay out of that business. You know what I'm saying? I don't be in everybody's business. If I'm not involved in it, I'm out of it. And I was like, yo, I like that, because it was like the way he moved, that's how he was. It's like solid 100 type dude. Like, to the point where, like, when we was down there, just looking at his genuine heart, like he just had a heart for the cast, the crew, everybody. Like, it was just dope, man. Like, that cat, I learned so much. To the point where I became like a young apprentice for him at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, where, he set me up with his manager, everything. He was like, man, get this boy, man. This boy funny. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was with him. That was my dude.
Wow.
Yeah, it was dope, man.
I'm glad I asked you about that.
Yeah, it was dope.